Welcome into Vikings Now. You're joining me from the Chat Sports offices, so my apologies if you hear some screaming going on in the background. We got a Chicago Bears stream right next door, and they're making moves left and right during the NFL free agency period. But the Minnesota Vikings, the one move they did make today was signing blocking tight end from the Baltimore Ravens, Josh Oliver. This news broke around 4 hours ago now. We got caught up with some other things. We're going to break it down, and we also have some news on Jordan Hicks. But it was Mike Garafolo. He tweeted out, the Vikings have agreed to terms with tight end Josh Oliver on a 3-year, $21 million deal. He gets $10.75 million guaranteed, and he has incentives that can take the deal up to $24 million. One of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL. So the latest Vikings signing, he agreed, like I just said, to a 3-year, $21 million deal, and $10.75 of that is guaranteed. And when I originally got this news about the Minnesota Vikings bringing on Josh Oliver, I said, is that really the move we are going to be making to kick off NFL free agency? But then I kind of started diving into it a little more, and I like him. I like Josh Oliver. I think this is going to be a good signing. But I will have more reaction about this in a second. But one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL, and I think he takes this Vikings tight end room to another level because you know the pass catcher that TJ Hawkinson is. And if you combine him with Josh Oliver, I mean, if you talk about an elite pass catcher, an elite run blocker in Josh Oliver, and then a guy like Irv Smith who is set to hit free agency probably will not get him back, no doubt. But the Vikings are bringing in a guy like Josh Oliver. I really like this move. I think he's a great run blocking tight end. He is probably the best in the league at that. And a pretty shocking signing in just my opinion. I just think this one kind of blew me away a little bit. And I just don't really, I guess I understand the reasoning why, and I'll dive into this more in a second. But just consolidating that money that you did have to spend in free agency to a backup tight end confuses me just a little bit. But I want to get your guys' one-word reaction to the signing. Get down in the comments, get loud, give me your one-word reaction to the signing of Josh Oliver. I think this was a solid move, but I will say, my one word to this is why. The Vikings, you are very limited cap space heading into this 2023 NFL free agency period, and you decide to go with a blocking tight end who will be a backup tight end for you most likely. It's just a little shocking because it's not like they brought him in on a 2-year, $10 million deal. Brought him in on a 3-year, $21.5 million contract for a guy that, yes, when you're running those 21 personnels and you got the play action going with Josh Oliver and TJ Hawkinson, it could be absolutely fantastic. And the Vikings could have a ton of big plays coming from that set. But it's just still, my one word is why? What's the bigger play here? Because you do have other areas of need, like a corner. We saw Cameron Sutton earlier today go to the Detroit Lions on a 3-year, $30 million deal. I would have much rather preferred them spend that money on a cornerback or even a linebacker. But to go for a tight end, I'm just a little curious. I'm going to trust in Kwesi. I'm going to trust in Kevin O'Connell and trust in this management. But I am very, very curious on just why. I mean, I get it. You do bring in one of the best blocking tight ends. We'll just see if it ends up working out. But some more news and shocking news. Jordan Hicks, he agrees to stay in Minnesota and he restructured his contract, freeing up money on the cap space. This one was a shocker to me. I thought Jordan Hicks was for sure gone. The Vikings would have saved $5 million before and after June 1st by keeping Jordan Hicks. And last year, Jordan Hicks, he was okay. But in the run-stopping game, in the run-stuffing game, he's still one of the best in the league. Fred Warner, if we're talking about run-stop blitz percentage, this is a kind of a run-stop percentage in 2022. Fred Warner, he was at 10.4%. Frankie Luvo, he was at 9.9%. And then Jordan Hicks was at 9.6%. That was kind of a shocker to me. Honestly, Jordan Hicks and just kind of this Vikings linebacker core last year with Eric Kendricks, they looked slow to me at multiple times, and they were not really too good at stopping the run. But Jordan Hicks, maybe Brian Flores could get the most out of him. I'm happy to see him come back because the Vikings linebacker depth chart is very minimal now with the cut of Eric Kendricks and Brian Asamoah. He's going to have to step up, and he's going to have to play great. But Jordan Hicks, he's back. He restructured. He will just be here for most likely one more year. But I don't know. How are you guys feeling about this Jordan Hicks signing? I want to know how you guys are feeling about this. Type Y for yes if you are happy about the signing, or N for no if you are happy about the Vikings signing Jordan Hicks. Get those responses in the comment section. like I was saying, this Vikings linebacker depth chart, it was looking thin if you weren't going to bring back Jordan Hicks. You know, originally when I got that notification, I was kind of saying, like, why? You know, you let a guy like Adam Thielen walk. You let a guy like Eric Kendricks walk. But you can restructure it with Jordan Hicks. And I get it. He's a solid football player, but he did look a little slow last year. And I will be curious to see if the Vikings will want to address the linebacker position in any other way. Maybe it's another free agent. Maybe it's a guy later round in the draft. But it is going to be Brian Asamoah season and Jordan Hicks season in the Vikings linebacker room. And the cap savings, if they were going to cut Jordan Hicks, it would have been $5 million off the cap. I would have loved to see them take that, because considering the Vikings were kind of in cap space hell coming in the free agency, and that's maybe why they haven't been signing as many players as we all thought they would. And maybe that's why you do miss out on a guy like Cam Sutton. It's because you chose to go with Jordan Hicks and Josh Oliver. Those are the two guys that you were like, we're going to bring in. They're going to make our roster better. Of course, right now I'm questioning it a little bit, but you got to trust in Kwesi. You got to trust in Kevin O'Connell. They know more about this football team. They know more about ball than we do. But Jordan Hicks, he's coming back. He restructured his deal. Another restructurement that happened, I think that's the word, restructurement. Vikings offensive lineman Chris Reed reported to have agreed to a deal to reduce his cap number by $1 million. He previously had a deal that would pay $2.45 million in 2023, but nothing was guaranteed, and his previous cap number was $2.75 million. So we're taking a look at the Vikings offensive line depth chart here. Garrett Bradbury, he is set to be a free agent. Most likely, I think he's going to walk. I think the Vikings will probably address center in the draft. Maybe you take a guy like John Michael Schmitz. Ed Ingram, our second-year right guard, you got to get more out of him this upcoming year. He really struggled. Maybe he could develop. Brian O'Neill, the right tackle for the Minnesota Vikings, he was solid this past year. He's locked into that. And you obviously know Christian Darrisaw. He's locked into that left tackle position. And then Ezra Cleveland, you know, the roller coaster that he goes on just throughout his NFL career right now. You have a good game, you have a great game, then you have a bad game, then you have an okay game. He's just got to be able to stabilize that a little more. But Chris Reed, he's a good kind of piece to have. He can fit into the center position, right guard, left guard, any of the three interior offensive lineman spots. Chris Reed can get there, and he can get the job done. But overall, my two thoughts on kind of these moves right now were just kind of why. I mean, the Josh Oliver signing, it excites me. I think Josh Oliver, listen, when they're in that 21 personnel where it's two tight ends, Justin Jefferson, and then obviously Dalvin Cook, wherever the running back may be, the Vikings can be able to move the football extremely well. Josh Oliver, like I said, one of the best run-blocking tight ends in the league. That's what you need to know about him. And honestly, I'm excited. Yes, I do question the move. I do not really understand with the limited cap space you have that you are going to go sign a guy like Josh Oliver. But I do believe the Minnesota Vikings, what they're going to be able to do in those two tight end sets is going to be special. TJ Hawkinson, Josh Oliver, they're dynamic players. They're going to be able to offer just a ton of versatility for Kevin O'Connell. He's going to be able to hop in his bag, hop in his playbook, and he is going to live out of those two tight end sets. And if you remember, Kevin O'Connell, coming from that Sean McVay tree, he loves running two tight end sets. That's what they excel in. And honestly, the Vikings, the run game last year, it was all right. It was nothing special. I mean, Dalvin Cook only averaged 4.3 yards per carry. Vikings were in the 20s when it came from yards per game rushing the football. Getting a guy like Josh Oliver, this says this team wants to get tougher in the trenches, which I am all here for. The Vikings, my eye test told me last year, anytime they went up against a physical team, they got pushed around a lot. Vikings bring in Josh Oliver. And then the Jordan Hicks news, I get it. You want to save, or you want to bring in another linebacker just because he didn't really, I don't know, he didn't really get it done as I expected last season when we signed him from the Arizona Cardinals. You could have saved $5 million. But I get it. You only had Brian Asamoah in that room, and you only had 4 draft picks. So maybe you didn't want to have to go draft a linebacker and waste a pick on that. So Jordan Hicks stays. Josh Oliver is signing with the Vikings. If you guys do want to follow me on Twitter, I'll be talking about the Vikings all off season long. Free agency is going to be crazy. Expect more moves coming from the Minnesota Vikings. And as always, if you guys made it to the end of the video, you guys are a real one. This is my favorite part of the day. I sit in my bed late at night, and I go through the comments on today's video. I see all the real ones in the chat. Love to see it. It makes me feel good because you guys watch the whole video. As always, Vikings, sign Josh Oliver, bring back Jordan Hicks. That's a Vikings news from day one of the 2023 NFL free agency period. See you guys next time. Let's go Vikes.